Hello. Good to see you. Let me know how the sound is. Let me know if I need to bump up the mic a bit or if you guys can hear me okay. And welcome. Either you're here live, and I appreciate you being here live, or you're here for the replay, and I appreciate you being here for the replay. Either way, hope you're well. And today we got some fun stuff to talk about. But for those of you who are here live, let me know how you're doing, where you're coming from, and what you're smelling like, if anything. Caden, I cannot answer that question. To choose one favorite for the summer. Wow. I can tell you what I'm looking forward to wearing this summer. I'm looking forward to wearing Terre D'Hermes EDT. I'm looking forward to busting out Dior Homme cologne a little bit more than I have in the past. Those are, funny two designers. Any niche. Serge Renaissance. Look forward to wearing that one as well. And got some new heat coming from Roja Parfum that I look forward to wearing and showing to you guys. So just wait for that. All right. Volcanis. Always appreciate you. Thank you so much. Oolong Cha. That's a beautiful one. I don't own it. I have a Decant. I've spent some time with that and I enjoy that scent. Very relaxing. All right. Fumito. Bree, how you doing? From Texas. Corey X Kenshin. All right. Corey X Kenshin is awesome. Let's see, London. Good to see you. Glenn's wearing B612. Good stuff. Nemo from Florida. Dominique, good to see you. How you doing? Mudar, how you doing? David Stoyanov. Chanel Allure Edition Blanche. That's another one I look forward to wearing some more this summer. It's a great scent. Heading my sister's graduation wearing Tigar. Have a great time. Congrats to your sister. Stephen Doyle, Reflection 45. I have a decant of that I need to spend some more time with. I can't say the time I've spent with it has made me like it more than the original, but I need to actually give it some full wearings. Minneapolis, wearing the original Givenchy Gentleman. Powerhouse. Frank from Mobile, Alabama. Good to see you, sir. Ganymede or Isola Blue. Are you asking me which one I prefer? Jehan or John? Casper from Denmark, wearing Fougere Bengali. I don't know that one. Candido from Seville, wearing, that Hermes Pure Parfum. You said he bought it because of my review. Hope you're enjoying that. Silver Birch. I haven't spent a lot of time with that one. I don't have it, but I have smelled it. Don't really remember it much. Don't forget SpongeBob. All right. Jerome is coming in from Toledo. Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum. Good stuff. Mudar is going to the store to smell Isola Blue. Mudar, have you smelled Oligarch? I'm curious. I have a bottle of Isola Blue coming in at some point within the next week or so. And from what I've heard so far, it is identical to Oligarch, which is what it was intended to be. But for those of you who never smelled Oligarch, I'm so excited for you to finally get your nose on that DNA, even in the form of a new packaging and name and everything. But I will be talking about it soon. I've held off from talking about Oligarch because It's kind of irrelevant now. So I wanted to wait to get you Solar Blue to talk about it more relevantly. If that's a word, relevantly? I think so. Alexander's White Zest clone of, okay. B612. All right, Todd. Hope you enjoy it. It's good stuff. Sentiment, what's up? No fragrance yet, still early. I'm not really wearing anything myself. All I have on right now is one spray of Gucci Guilty Absolute. I just felt like spending some time with it this morning. Man, this stuff is really something special. I've been talking about it a lot. It feels like, at least lately, at least yesterday, I kind of posted about it a lot. I've just been digging it. Lord Shady, Anna Watson from Georgia Mountains. Sol de Janeiro 62 with Juliet Has a Gun Lust for Sun. Is that one of their new ones from Juliet Has a Gun? I've been hearing good things about Sol de Janeiro. I may have smelled one of them. It may have been that one. I don't remember now. We're in Aqua Atlantique, discontinued classic. Impressions on Wood and Wood. I haven't tried that one yet. Hey, Scott. Jared Miller, always appreciate you, man. Remember, hit the like button, support the captain. Thank you so much, Jared. Really appreciate you as always. Hey, Roderick. Don't forget Second Soul. It's great. I really appreciate that, Roderick. I love Second Soul. I mean, it should go without saying. I made it the way, well, I had it created the way I wanted it to be made. And I think it came out perfect. And I'm always thrilled to hear about those of you who are experiencing what I put into it. Mandarino di Amalfi, beautiful scent. I'm going to wear the aqua version more this summer. I haven't reached for it in a bit. YSOY Parfum, redundant. You know what? What did I smell recently? Is that the newest one? No. What's the newest Y? Whatever it is, I smelled it recently. I was traveling and I went to a Dillard's and I smelled it. And I remember at first spray, I was like, okay, this was on paper. And then I smelled it a little bit more over the course of a minute or so. And I'm like, you know what? This is actually kind of different. There was something about it that was, as what people have been saying, it's like almost a little bit more mature. It's less boyish. I need to revisit that. But the Parfum, I think you're talking about the black bottle, if I'm not mistaken, and I have not smelled that one. But I don't remember what that newest one is now. Okay, Stephen Doyle, thank you so much for the super sticker. Really appreciate that. The EDP Intense. Yeah, that's what it is. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate that. Gentleman said it too. Elysium O Intense. Yes, I have a bottle of that coming in from Roja. So I'll let you guys know what I think. I'm going to be honest as always. Okay, you said you haven't smelled Oligarch yet. Okay, which was 100. Yeah, maybe they'll make 100 later, but I mean, 50 is going to be all you need, honestly. 50, you'll have that bottle for years and years and years. And I'm assuming it performs pretty well because the Oligarch Parfum, which it's identical of, performs well. So you'll have it for a minute. Hey, Sandy. Endymion. I haven't smelled that in years. I do remember it reminding me a little bit of kind of a fresher, maybe powderier take on La Nuit de l'Homme, if I'm not mistaken. But it wasn't identical by any means. Do you match your personality to what scent you use? Kind of, Fumito. That's kind of a good question. It's not. That's mean. I didn't mean kind of. That is a good question. That's a good question, Fumito. I feel like I'm always doing that. I'm always matching my personality to whatever I'm doing. But, personality and mood kind of work hand in hand. And mood is what adds variability to personality, even though the core of who you are does not change, of course, unless you decide to change it. How you feel every day and how you feel throughout each day changes. So I'm wearing based on personality. Yes, anything I put on baseline is going to match who I am and how I express myself. But how I feel, that's also going to affect a layer of what I decide to spray for the day and also what I decide to wear clothing wise and whatnot. It all, is interwoven. So that's a great question. Hey, Jared, thank you so much. Yeah, guys, hit that like button. It is completely free. And I guarantee you it'll cost you less than 1 calorie to do it. So effort is not even an excuse. If you're here and you like what you're seeing, might as well hit the button. I appreciate it. Lets YouTube know that you like the content, and it helps to recommend it to more people. We're trying to grow the channel. So it's very, very little cost for you. And I really appreciate it. Thank you, Fumito. Okay, well, we are 11 minutes in. As I typically like to do, I'll spend the first 10 or so minutes just chatting with you guys, reading your comments and questions. And then we get into the meat of the video because I don't want to keep you here all day. So let's dive right into why this video exists. As you can see from the title, if I remember correctly, because I'm not seeing it, it was like 10 amazing fragrances or 10 mind-blowing fragrances that I used to hate. I spent a lot of time on that ridiculous thumbnail that you saw. So those of you guys who pointed that out, I appreciate it. It took me some time and effort. But it was one of those thumbnails that as soon as I sat down to create it, it immediately popped in my head. And my one job from that point was to create what I saw in my mind. And that doesn't happen all that often, where it's just like the image was complete in my head. I said, okay, let me see if I can canvas this out as quickly as I can before it fades. And that's what happened. I wanted to try to recreate the emojis, so to speak, with my own faces. So I hope that came across. All right. Yeah, this is a new one for sure. It was a different process for me to make this thumbnail. All right, let's get started here. So we're talking about, like I said, 10 fragrances that I think are amazing, incredible, mind-blowing, fantastic, phenomenal, worth trying, that I didn't always feel this way about. They're fragrances that when I first tried them, some of them years and years ago, some of them, actually all of them, it's been at least several years since I first tried them. But I'm going to talk about them in chronological order, which will be fun. When I tried each of these for the first time, I was thrown off. I did not like what I was smelling. I found them stinky or nasty, unwearable, or not my taste, but mostly repulsive in some ways, some more than others. And I had no plans of ever revisiting any of them. And here we are. I have them all. I've come back around to all of them, obviously, and that is indicative of one of the most important aspects of this hobby, which is that you will change. The fragrances don't change, of course. You smell, for instance, an Amouage fragrance, which is ambiguously represented in the thumbnail. If you smell one of those, you don't like it, you say, okay, I'm never going to smell this again. Maybe you come back 2-3 years later and you like it. Well, what changed? Obviously, you did. The scent did not change at all. So the more you smell, the more you develop, obviously, your taste at the surface level. But even below that, you kind of like unlock new areas of appreciation within yourself. And, for lack of a better way of putting it, the more weird stuff you smell, weird as in relatively to you, then the less weird it gets. So my advice to anybody in this hobby would be keep sniffing. Obviously, that doesn't mean you have to keep buying. Those two do not have to be one and the same. But the more you smell, the more you expand your knowledge and experience and the more you'll start to enjoy or at least appreciate. Okay, let's dive into it. Again, we're doing it in chronological order. So I'm going to talk about these fragrances in the order that I experienced them from, the best of my memory. Some of these were kind of around the same time, especially the first few, like the first 3 or 4, I definitely experienced in my first year or few months of starting this hobby. First one up here is a classic, Dior Homme, the original. This is not Dior Homme Original, which is the newly released version of it. This is Dior Homme 2011 formulation here. Now, this is not a 2011 bottle. This is a 2017 bottle, which I cannot believe, because that means I've had this fragrance for almost 6 years now. It'll be 6 years this summer. I bought it on a cruise. And before I bought it, I experienced it in 2016, the year prior, which is the year I really started sniffing and getting into the hobby. And that's when I started my channel and all that stuff. And I put this on a strip of paper in Sephora. And I literally had to like drop it and run because I didn't want to be associated with it. It smelled so strange to me. To me, it's like, how could any guy want to smell like this? It smelled like makeup, smelled like lipstick, which is what I had heard. I had already been watching reviews. So preconception was a thing. And I hate for it to be, it can have such a strong effect on us, but you can't really deny it. You can't unknow stuff that you know or that you heard. So I went into it knowing what people have said about it, and bam, my conception was formed. Smelled like lipstick, smelled waxy and powdery. I'm like, I don't want to have anything to do with this fragrance ever again. Now, it feels like it took a long time for me to finally come back around to smelling this, because I don't remember particularly smelling it several times after that. Like, I don't know if I was like trying to like it more and more, but I do specifically remember, again, about a year later, maybe less, because it was like late 2016 when I first smelled it, and it was summer of 2017 when I went on a cruise with my family. They had a fragrance shop on board the ship. I saw the bottle, I sprayed it. I was with my dad actually at the time, and I don't know what it was. I'm like, oh, I really love this. And I put it on my hand and I showed it to my dad, and he was like, he was not having it, which is okay because I didn't expect him to love it. But I kind of decided to spend the day with it on my hand that day, walking around the ship, like eating dinner, by the pool, just smelling it and realizing, you know what, this stuff is just freaking good. It's really special to me. That's what, I think it really sparked me wanting to have fragrances that smell special to me. There's something that stand out in my collection. They smell like nothing else. So I went back that day before they closed and bought this bottle. And I always talk about this. You look at this bottle, it doesn't look like I've sprayed it very much. And I don't know what's up with that. I've sprayed this bottle, I don't know, at least a dozen times, and not just one spray a dozen times. I'm talking about wearings. I've given it at least a dozen wearings, and I do at least 3 to 5 sprays with it every time. And it just seems to never run out. It's just like barely going down. It is so beautiful. I don't wear it enough. Grace is unfortunately not the biggest fan of Iris. So I'm a little weary wearing this when I know I'm going to be around her or in close quarters with her, because I don't want to annoy her. I will wear fragrances that I know she doesn't love all that much if we're going to be out and about and she's not going to be confined to it. I think it's stunning. And I do apologize for those of you who may not be able to get your hands on it. I linked to whatever I could find down below. Hopefully you can get a way to sniff this one, because I think it's truly special. Yes, waxy iris, lavender, a chocolatey cacao, leather. I do get a bit of a citrusy quality, almost like an orange or something. It's just gorgeous. Anyway, that is Dior Homme. That's our first fragrance. I realized I meant to put banners so you guys can see what fragrance I'm talking about. Maybe I'll do that moving forward. Marcus, I have checked out Soradora. I have Broceliande, and I have Gladiator. And both are nice. I wouldn't say they both blow me away, but they're nice. Take her on a cruise and bring Dior Homme. Yes. I unknow everything she says. Interesting. Hey, Cyril. Confidential. I don't. Oh, that's like their like privé line. I haven't tried any of them. No, I've tried. If I know what you're talking about, they have an amber fragrance that is actually pretty nice, very good quality. It just there wasn't a whole lot to it. It wasn't. It was just kind of one track, a little bit one or two dimensional. Okay, Spider. Yes, I did. In fact, I completely forgot about that. It's not technically on this list, but now that you mentioned it, now I mentioned it. You guys know I used to hate Carlisle. Now I like Carlisle. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, let's keep going. Again, about the same time I encountered Dior Homme, 2016, maybe the same day, honestly, that I was in Sephora and I sprayed it. I sprayed this. And again, I came in with preconceptions because I saw people talking about it on YouTube, namely Jeremy Fragrance. I remember a video where he was showing this to girls and their son saying it smells like a dirty orange and stuff. So that gives it away. This is Terre D'Hermes, the Eau de Toilette. Now, if you ask me what I think of this fragrance today, masterpiece. I don't throw that word around flippantly anymore like I used to in the past. Masterpiece. No matter what you think of it, this is an objective, timeless masterpiece. But when I first smelled it, I did not think that at all. It literally did smell like I dug up a bunch of soil in my hands and rubbed it all together and started eating an orange with my dirty hands. And this is another one where I sprayed it and the cloud was in the air and I smelled it and I said, oh no. And I had to relocate to another part of the store because I didn't want people to know that I sprayed this. But it's incredible. Even on paper, it's fine. It's great. It's citrusy orange, yes. Woody, earthy vetiver, some black pepper. There is this like iso-y super kind of musky woodiness that kind of softens and rounds it out in the core of the scent. Gives it a bit of a sexy vibe, even for being kind of mature and sophisticated. Something special about this, but it is for more mature personality. That doesn't mean you have to be an older person age-wise to enjoy it or wear it, but maturity in how you present yourself, your demeanor, your outlook on people in the world, you know, even how you present yourself physically. If you align all those things with a scent like this, I think you're going to enjoy it more. And it's going to just make more sense in your world to you and to other people. It's lovely, but I hated it. I thought it was disgusting. I couldn't even bear to understand the idea of people enjoying it or wearing it. And I was like, I'm never going to own that. And it took me some time, believe it or not, to come back around to it. I want to say I didn't get this bottle until maybe 2 years ago at the most. I don't know. I don't even think I've had it that long. It's been maybe less than 2 years since I got this bottle, and I hadn't smelled it since getting it again. Before I got this bottle, the last time I smelled it was in that Sephora in 2016. But I just knew that I was going to like it because I had really come around to vetiver. Vetiver became one of my favorite notes over the years, and it is now one of my favorites. So I had a feeling like, you know what? I think I'm ready for it. And I was right. I absolutely love it now. It's incredible. And I have the Parfum now, which is honestly even a little better. Not to say, I can't even say it smells better. It's just like they took it and they somehow made it even more perfect. They refined it more. They made it more rounded. It's less harsh and sharp around the edges. It's a heavier, richer scent. It's beautiful. Okay. Thank you, Jared. Really appreciate that. Hello, Salome. Okay, let's keep it going. So this fragrance, it's funny. I honestly forgot I ever smelled it until I saw fragrance by Had It, and I'm like, did I ever smell that? And then I'm like, you know what? I did smell it in a Sephora. Again, maybe around this time, 2016, maybe a little later than the last two. And I remember taking one sniff. No. And I just never even gave it a chance more than a second or two. It was just weird. It just didn't make any sense to me. I couldn't even explain to you what it smelled like to me back then. All I knew is the feeling that I had when I smelled it, which was, no, I don't like this. I wouldn't wear this. And then it was discontinued. And now it's become a bit of this, hidden, discontinued gem that's hard to get your hands on. But again, Fragrance by Had It. They sent it over. And I see why people find this to be so special. From Prada, we have Prada Amber Pour Homme Intense. Now, I did like the original Amber Prada Pour Homme. When I first smelled that, it was super clean and soapy. It smelled like a bar lavender soap. I didn't love it enough to try to get it. It smelled a little bit too simple for me, but I liked it. I found it pleasant. And this was just weird again when I first smelled it. But it's like a dark soap. There's a cleanliness here. I do get quite a bit of patchouli, I believe, and also quite a bit of myrrh resin. So there's this kind of warm, dark, mysterious feel, like a sweet, warm feel to this otherwise clean, kind of soapy fragrance. Very classy, super classy, and very special for designer fragrance. Yeah, it's really nice. It's different. It's funny. The only thing I could really compare to this is my fragrance, Second Soul, which was completely not intended. They don't smell the same, but they have similar elements. They have a cleanliness to them, almost a soapy feel. This is definitely more on the soapy side, I would say, than Second Soul. They have this warm resinous feel that leans a little sweet, but not in a way that smells edible. And there's some other elements too, but again, not the same, but they're kind of like structured similarly, which is so interesting. But I do have to say, I think Second Soul is a little bit more complex than this, but this is lovely stuff. Anyway, hated it at first, love it now, but it's not for everyone. In fact, Grace, from what I remember, doesn't even really enjoy this one very much. Okay, keep it moving. Again, around this time, again, same year, maybe 2016, I smelled this fragrance because I did see it making the rounds on YouTube. And I saw immediately that it was a pretty polarizing scent. I knew that I might not like this. I don't remember exactly what people were saying about it back then, but what I think they were saying was it smells a little feminine and it smells very strong, and it's just a different kind of scent that you would smell on a guy. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I'll like this, but I do want to try it because it sounds interesting. I tried it on paper, and I think I didn't find it completely repulsive, but I was like, how could I ever wear this? I don't think I have the confidence for this. So I didn't like it. And I had no inclinations to try to like it. I ended up getting a bottle, I don't know, 3 years ago. And I can't say I wear it all the time, but I do find it super special. The times that I have worn it, I really enjoyed it. From Tom Ford, Black Orchid. Not for everyone. I do believe it was initially marketed for women. I think it is maybe unisex now. Technically, you might even find it in men's sections in certain department stores. Oh, jeez. This is one of the most unique floral fragrances I think I've ever smelled, because it doesn't smell like a bouquet. It doesn't smell like fresh, natural, realistic flowers, but somehow it gives off the feel of a flower, but in a sweet, earthy way. There's a little tiny bit of a funk in here. It's such a unique scent. It is so opulent. It is so like, I see the colors like purple and pink and white all together when I smell this. Ironically enough, not black. But gosh, it's such a statement maker. And again, not going to be for everyone. It's a lot to smell up close. So if you've never smelled this, I advise you to not spray it on paper or your hand and then shove it up your nostrils. It's going to be a lot. I see JPT. Black Orchid is disgusting. You're not too far away from where I was when I first smelled it. So I don't know how long you've been in the game, but you know, I can relate to that sentiment. But now I think it's wonderful. And you know, similarly to the Terre D'Hermes, I do kind of call it a bit of a masterpiece. What else smelled like this before it came out? And I do think it smells, there is a masculine element to it. There's something about it that, you know, it could easily just, it rides both sides easy. It can just switch back and forth. But I would be very particular about how I wear it. I tend to wear it in darker colors, namely black. And I wear it in the evening when I know I'm not going to be choking a lot of people out. So outside would be great. If I'm going to be inside, I'm not going to spray too much, no more than 3 times. You know, there is this old trick you can do, guys. If you like a fragrance, but you're afraid it might come off a little bit feminine, then you can create balance in theory by enhancing the masculinity of your external presence. So I throw on a black leather jacket, I throw on black jeans and a black t-shirt, black boots. And I put that on and it creates balance. It like makes more sense. Now that's, again, theoretical. You could be just fine if you didn't. I'm still not sure about that. Freaking Siri, nobody wants to talk to you. Scared the mess out of me. You guys saw me jump. That scared the crap out of me. Wow. Anyway, I think that's a signal to move on. I'm just blabbing on and on about Black Orchid. Kyler, how you doing? Good to see you. Doron. Old Team is also beautiful. That's a good one. Okay, let's keep it going. So these next 3 fragrances, I smelled I smelled at exactly the same time because they were gifted to me by a good friend of mine named A2, all at the same time. And, you know, I think I've shared this story before and some of you have responded saying, oh, dude, why would you do what you did? That was such a jerk move. At the time, it made sense to me. And, you know, it worked out, but I can see where you guys might be coming from. But the first of the 3 fragrances I'm going to talk about is this one, Raghba Wooden Tints from Lattafa. Now, for a period of time, my most viewed video on my channel was a video called like Top 10 Beast Mode Fragrances, which, no surprise, it's a highly searched topic. People are always looking for fragrances that will last them until their great grandkids are born. So a lot of people clicked on that video. And this fragrance was in that video. At the time, I still had it. I did not have it shortly thereafter. And what I ended up doing was I returned it to my friend, which a lot of people were like, why would you return it? It was a gift. You should have either just kept it or you should have like gifted it to someone else. Sure. But at the time, I was pretty insulated in my fragrance journey. No one in my life really knew what I was doing. No one knew I was into fragrances. No one even knew about my channel. I didn't even tell my brother until like 3 or 4 months into my channel. And I smelled this fragrance, I think maybe before that time. I don't remember. Maybe after, but he was like the only one that knew for quite a bit. So gifting these bottles was just kind of not really in the question for me. Anyway, this fragrance was too much. I didn't find it disgusting, but I did have a strong association with it. I had memories of, you know, being in elevators with men who were from, Middle Eastern countries, who were wearing fragrances like this, who had sprayed a lot of them, just and just like filling up the elevator and choking me and everyone else out. And I can't say I found that smell terrible, but it did have that association for me where I'm like, I don't want to come off that way to people as like trying too hard, as the guy who put on too much cologne. So I had that association for a while, and these type of Middle Eastern scents, these ambery, sweet, warm, woody oud fragrances were just not the ones I was comfortable wearing. But I knew I would want to come back around to them later. So at the time, this stuff was super beast mode. It's actually not as strong as it used to be. It's still strong enough. But now I find the scent utterly beautiful. It is kind of this smoked vanilla and caramel, kind of sweet and succulent in a way. Definitely ambery, definitely woody. No real stinky or funkiness to it. Smells of decent quality, especially for the price when you first spray it. In the dry down, when you smell it up close, you can detect like, okay, not the highest quality materials, ingredients here, but ultimately in the air, it comes off as very elegant smelling and maybe smells a little bit more expensive than it is. So yeah, I can't say I hated it when I first tried it, but it definitely was not my taste. It was not in my comfort zone. And I've come back around to it just within the past several months, and I like it a lot. So that's Raghba Wooden Tints from Lattafa. Have any of you guys tried that one? Oud for Greatness. I'm seeing Oud Wood, Oud for Greatness. Chat GBT. What's going on? Oh, yeah. You guys talking about the Siri thing. Cam, I see you mentioned Viking Cologne. That's another one I forgot about. I forgot to put that in here. Maybe I'll mention that at the end. I'll pull it out here, and if I remember, I will mention Viking Cologne at the end because that would be the most recent of all of these. Okay, the second of the three fragrances that my friend A2 sent me that I just could not handle was this one. Aoud Lemon Mint from Mancera. When I first smelled this, it was from a full bottle. This is beautiful. It was a screw cap, and I think it was a little stronger than this one is, but not by much. It just smelled like powdery lemon candy. And I'm like, it was just like very linear and very powerful and just obnoxious. And I was spending all my time smelling it up close, which was a mistake. So I immediately was thrown off by it. I said, I can't wear this. I returned it to my friend along with the Lattafa. And I've come back around to it. I got a decant from Decant X several years ago that I really enjoyed. And I was like, man, I'm enjoying this little decant much more than I enjoyed that bottle years ago. And I spent enough time with it to realize, you know what? I think I want a bottle of this. So I have a bottle. I think it's a beautiful scent. I think it's super uplifting. It's super playful. I can see why people wouldn't like it because it is very sweet. And if you don't like super sweet, like candied citrus, you're not going to like it. There is a bit of a powderiness to it, but it mostly comes off as a freshness now, kind of almost minty per the name, but not overtly mint. And I do get a touch of that funky oud, very, very light touch that gives a bit of an elegance and more of a depth to the scent. So it's not just bright, sweet lemon. I think it's lovely. And I think it's fun to wear. I look forward to wearing this on maybe not the hottest days in the summer because it's pretty strong and very sweet. I might wait for the evenings or wait for those milder days, in the 80s Fahrenheit, maybe even the 70s. I might be wearing it towards the tail end of the spring. I think it's a lovely scent. Jorge Miller, I think I saw you ask this question earlier. Is it normal that the cap on Kenzo Homme EDP is loose? My cap is not loose. My cap clicks into place, and I think it's pretty much right in there. from what I remember. But as long as the juice is good and as long as the atomizer works, I think you're good. Thank you so much, Climatic. That means a lot. Thanks for the super chat. Okay, like lemon head candy, maybe a little bit. It doesn't smell edible, but it's really sweet. It's like yeah, it doesn't smell like something I would want to eat, but I could maybe compare it to something like that. Okay, the third of the 3 fragrances that my friend sent me that I returned to him because I was not ready for it. This was one that I didn't hate it, but it was one of the most unique fragrances I had ever smelled. And even to this day, it still kind of is. And I just could not find a way to make it meld with my personality. I'm like, this is a little too esoteric. It's too off the wall. I feel like I'd have to be super elegant for this. And at the time, I wasn't really attending elegant functions or anything like that. I didn't see myself quite as that type of person. But I knew I would love it coming back around to it. I hadn't smelled it since I returned it to my friend. Again, this was in 2016, maybe 2017. Yeah, 2017 is when these 3 fragrances came in. And I bought it back in 2020, knowing that, you know what, I think my taste has changed. I'm going to enjoy this. This is Chergui from Serge Lutens. This one, I can see why people are not all about it. It's a strange scent. It's dark. Yes, it's like a dark, powdery iris with sweet honey, earthy tobacco, with this interesting kind of hay-like feel, like farmhouse hay, but not, stinky. Nothing like it at all. It has been reformulated a bit, perhaps for the better, because I do remember I had a vintage bottle of it with the original label. This is the new label and everything. I remember that being more powdery and way more rich, which I think was too much for me. This is not as powdery as the original formulation, which again, I think was for the better. So sometimes reformulation is for the sake of the people. It's like, okay, maybe we're going to sell this fragrance more if we dial back this particular element of it or dial up this particular element of it. People, the masses taste changes over time. I don't remember exactly when this fragrance came out. I want to say it was over 10 years ago. I'm going to look it up right now here on my iPad. Chergui came out in the year 2001. Oh yeah, way over 10 years ago. So maybe at the time it made a little bit more sense. And with a new generation of people coming in, even 10 years time can make a lot of changes in how the public reacts to fragrance. They decided to tweak some things. And again, I think it was for the better. So I think Chergui is worth checking out. Sample it first. Do not blind buy it. It's one of those fragrances that I also consider a masterpiece. It's timeless. It doesn't smell like it came out at any particular point in time. It is utterly unique. And what else was I going to say about it? I don't know. Worth a sample. Let morbid curiosity get the best of you here. Just get a sample. At least if you try it, then you know. Okay. Yeah, Sir Siage says he can't get on with this. It smells too powdery. Yeah, I totally get it, especially up close. Up close, totally. Maybe give it a full wearing if you're not going to be around anyone for the day and just see what you think in the air around you, because again, that experience is not necessarily realistic. Okay, we got 3 more fragrances. You guys have been fantastic. Thank you for being here and hanging out with me as I kind of take a trip down memory lane. All right, next one up here is I got a sample of this along with another fragrance from Amouage. That other fragrance was Lyric Man, which I also hated when I first tried, but I've got a decant since and I actually really enjoy it, but I don't have a bottle. It's not in this list. I've been meaning to maybe get a bottle of that when I get through this decant. But the other fragrance I smelled alongside that, CM, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm sure you do. The other one that I got alongside it that I think I disliked even more because it was so weird and it was so strong. That's a bad combination. Was this one, Jubilation 25. Yes, I hated this when I first tried it. It was stinky. It was like stinky, smoky fruit. That's what it smelled like to me. Blueberries, not blueberries, blackberries, stinky wood and earth with smoke. And it was so freaking strong. It was choking me out and I couldn't deal with it. Now, this is another one. This is maybe an unpopular opinion. Reformulated for sure, but perhaps for the better. Again, maybe Amouage adapting to the public, maybe that in conjunction with, ingredients that they don't have, access to anymore, whatever it is. There's always many reasons for it. It's not always to just sit back and water down fragrances and reap all the benefits and make more money by raising prices. It looks like that sometimes for sure. And I'm not going to say definitively who's doing that or not, but I don't get that vibe here with Amouage. Essentially, this has turned into kind of a 7 to 8 hour fragrance when it used to be a 15. And the overall profile has been made more transparent. It's more see-through. There's more light coming through. There's more space between ingredients. Makes it way more palatable. So yes, I do get this beautiful, rich, slightly medicinal oud, almost rubbery. That might not sound so great, but that's the vibe I get, and it works here. With a little bit of a honeyed blackberry sweetness, but not what I would call a sweet fragrance. The sweetness is just a dusting to add a little bit more approachability to the scent. It's an elegant type of sweetness with some incense in there, which is what Amouage is known for. People say it smells like royalty. It is kind of cliche at this point, but I have to say, yes, not only does this bottle look freaking royal, but it smells like it too. So if you're concerned about performance on this, maybe you tried the original version and now you came around to this and you're like, oh, I'm disappointed, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what to say to you. I can't control what you like or don't like or what you find acceptable. But, obviously just don't wear it. If it's not going to work for you, don't wear it. But if you haven't tried this yet and you've heard people talking about, oh, I heard it was reformulated, it's not as strong anymore. It's strong enough. And at least if you're asking me, when this scent profile was really strong, it was completely unwearable for me. It was too much. Now I think it's more wearable. So I think you might be more apt to enjoy it and feel more comfortable wearing it in its current form, but get a decant first. It's still a little bit of a different off the wall type of scent profile if you've never smelled it. So decant first if you can. I have Hobbit Rouge, lovely scent. I actually have Hobbit Rouge L'Instinct coming in the mail. Haven't smelled it yet. So I'll let you guys know what I think of that one. I think it's a pretty new scent, and I've read some things about it that were very interesting to me. So I will be curious to see what I get from it. Bertrand Duchaufour. Yes, indeed. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the guy. I love Timbuktu as well. He's done a lot of the stuff from L'Artisan Parfumeur, for sure. Okay, man, I have to say, out of all the fragrances I've sprayed here, one that I keep getting the wafts of is Aoud Lemon Mint. It just keeps coming up and overtaking, and it smells beautiful. Okay, 2 more fragrances. We have another one from Amouage. I want to say I smelled this around the same time I smelled Jubilation, but possibly a little later. And it smelled like kind of an older man. I was like, I can't pull this off. I cannot pull this off at all. While I'm thinking about it, actually, I'm going to pull out Creed Viking, and I'm going to share that with you guys at the end. Viking Cologne, I should say, because it has a funny story. Well, that'll be the last fragrance we talk about. Okay, so this one smelled like a bit of an old man to me. It smelled very mature. It smelled very stuffy. And I remember, excuse me, showing it to some people at the time, and they're like, "Oh, this smells like a lumberjack, or it smells like, you're out in the woods or something," and it just didn't smell pleasant. And it's a fougere. I knew that I would like this as I started to come around to fougères. The next fragrance we'll talk about is also a fougere that I had to come around to. So you can see where tastes are changing. These genres that I love so much and talk about so much now are ones that, believe it or not, I didn't like when I first tried. John is saying Beach Hut Man. Nope, Beach Hut Man was actually a love at first sniff. This one is Bracken Man. I didn't like it. It was the cloves. The cloves in here are in overdose, but not really. They're actually quite beautifully and balanced. Beautifully balanced. Yes. Ah, yeah, this is like, there's a cleanliness here. There is this clean, fresh lavender, spicy feel. There is this creamy heart to the scent that kind of fills it out. There is a bit of a mossiness, perhaps, but that clove note it's up front. It is a bit of a stuffy, dry spice. And that's the one that I think you may not like. That's one element about it that might drive you away. So sample it first. I think it's utterly classy. This is so freaking classy. Similar to, what did I talk about before? That was kind of mature. Maybe it was Terre D'Hermes, whatever. There is a maturity here. So I think you do have to have a certain demeanor, a certain personality to feel comfortable wearing this. This is not a fragrance that you spray on and you go out with the guys to get girls and all the girls are swooning over you. No. And those are probably not the type of girls I would want to hang out with anyway. If they're swooning over, Versace Eros, I'm good and I'm married anyway. But if you're looking to hang with a classier association, or if that is what you do, this is one that smells like that. There's a cleanliness here, but there's so much personality to this scent, especially as far as a fougere goes. It's authoritative. It smells confident. If you want to have that vibe, or if you feel like you have that vibe most of the time, this is one you might enjoy. Quite masculine smelling as well. Very characteristically masculine. So that is Bracken Man. I see CM says, I don't think I'm ready. Tony says he just ordered it. Yeah, get your nose on it. Sample first. There's links down to everything below. I do have some links to Decant X where you can sample. Hey, Dash Drop. Good to see you. I see Sandy and Serge Siage talking about Orto Parisi. I think I need to try that brand. So many guys have recommended them. Okay. So we did have one more. Now we have two more. Before we talk about Viking Cologne, this fragrance, I love it. Kind of a complex, not that complex. How do I explain this? I first smelled this when I first moved here, where I live now. There's a perfumery somewhere out there. And I went to that perfumery and I gave this a spray, assuming that I would love it. I don't think I had really heard much about it, but I had heard of it. And it's similar to Bracken Man. It smelled like an old man to me. I think I was going in like sprayed it. I was so excited. Oh, and I was immediately disappointed. It didn't smell like, it's not that it didn't like live up to the quality. It was just like, oh, this is not for me. This scent smells like I need to be at least 69, 70. And I don't mean that to be any kind of dig towards anyone who's in their later stages of life, but that's how I was thinking at the time. But now, if you're asking me, I'd say it has a mature, I can't think of the words I'm trying to say, but it's mature smelling. It smells more refined. It smells more like someone who is confident in themselves. They're not really worried about getting other people to like them based on their scent. Anyway, I know I always leave all this suspense. Raja Parfum Scandal Pour Homme. Now, before I came to this one, before I came back to this one, I'll say, after that first time smelling it, after that, maybe it was a year later. No, it was the same year, maybe. I got the Parfum Cologne version of Scandal, which I do find to be way more palatable for most people. And if you guys have been following my channel since like 2018 or so, you'll know how much I am obsessed with that fragrance. It was one of my first real loves from the house besides Oligarch. And I'm glad I smelled that one and spent some time with that, because it was through that fragrance that I was able to come back around to the Parfum version, which is so much richer. So this is a fougere. It is a classic smelling, citrusy, lavender, clean, spicy, fresh, barbershop leaning scent. Lots of herbs in here, very herbal, mossy. And there is a bit of this funky quality to it. There's a bit of this edge, almost animalic leaning, but I couldn't tell you that it's an animalic ingredient. There's something about it that's going to rub some people the wrong way. I think it's utterly classy now. I love wearing this, especially going to weddings in the daytime. I love wearing this fragrance for that. It smells so freaking classy. It's like a light colored suit type of scent, like a gray suit, light blue, white shirt, tie. Smells fantastic. Smells like money, if you're asking me. It is a little reminiscent to Dior Eau Sauvage, the original Eau de Toilette. It's in that vein, but way more complex. And honestly, maybe a little bit more interesting. Not to knock that fragrance at all. It's lovely. It's classic. Been out since the late 60s for a reason. That's the closest thing I could compare it to. If you smelled that, then imagine just a way more complex, richer version that smells more like a fougere. And you have this. Okay, that is Raja Parfum Scandal. So this was 2021, which I think is when this fragrance came out. And my friend Corbin, who has a channel called Northwest Scents, who hasn't made any content in some time, I haven't talked to him in a bit. I'm not sure where he's at. He got a bottle of this. He let me borrow it for a day. And I filmed my first impressions on it. Why am I acting like you don't know what it is? I already told you. It's Viking cologne. He let me borrow it. I filmed my first impressions. And I feel kind of bad for putting that video out, because it wasn't truly an accurate representation of this fragrance, because that bottle needed some time to macerate. It needed some time to sit. In that video, if you saw it, I basically bashed this fragrance saying it smelled like toilet cleaner. And it kind of did at the time. I did not get it. It didn't remind me almost anything of the original Viking. It smelled off. And I was so confused. And I was like, what is this? What are they going for here? So I gave it back to Corbin. I had no plans of trying it again. Creed reached out not long after that. I don't think they saw that video. And they said, hey, we want to send you a bottle of Viking cologne. I said, okay, sure. So they sent me the bottle. This is that bottle. I sprayed it. And I had a similar experience. I'm like, it smells like toilet cleaner. Maybe this is just what it freaking smells like. I was disappointed. And I've been honest about it ever since. And every video I had that I filmed it, that I featured it, I was honest. And I even showed it to Grace, and she hated it. And then I put it away for like 6 months. I let it sit in the dark. And it figured itself out. It opened up. It became what it was made to be. I think it's lovely. I think it is a lighter cologne style of the original Viking. There is a bit of that mature fougere feel, very spicy and fresh, but it's lightened up. It's made maybe more modern smelling, more heavy on the citrus, less heavy on like the mossiness and the woods. Citrus and herbs. There's almost a minty feel. It smells expensive. It smells like an expensive, clean, fresh fragrance. The toilet cleaner note has completely disappeared. I think I remember making a pretty funny graphic that I put on screen in a video a while back. And it was like, I think I replaced a bottle of Clorox toilet bowl cleaner on the ad with a bottle of Viking cologne that I'd kind of cut out so it matched the size of the bottle with the toilet cleaner liquid coming out into the bowl. Anyway, kind of mean. I wasn't really trying to just bash this. I was just saying what I thought of it. But all of that stuff I said in the past is completely, it just doesn't apply anymore. I'm not going to say it's irrelevant because that's what it was. That's what I smelled at the time, but it doesn't apply. This smells wonderful. I don't recommend going out and blind buying a bottle because some of you guys might still be disappointed. Oh, it's Creed. It's really expensive. Performance is not amazing. No, performance is not amazing, but I wouldn't say it's like below average. I'd say it has average performance for me. I get a good 6 to 8 hours, which is perfectly fine for a fresh fragrance. Now, yes, I got it for free. Would I say that if I had bought it? Yeah, actually I would. I think it's hard to expect much more out of any fragrance, no matter how expensive it is, when you look at what it's comprised of. We have to be realistic here. What are the ingredients? Are they kind of natural? Are they high quality? But more than anything, are they volatile ingredients? There's a ton of citruses and herbs in here. Those things are not meant to stick around on your skin. So I think it smells high quality. It smells natural. It's using these more volatile ingredients. So yeah, it's not going to last forever. But if you can get around that, then you love the scent, then you'll enjoy it. You'll find function for it. Could be a good work scent. Could be a good kind of daytime out scent. It can function a little bit casually as well as a little bit more formal. I think it's wonderful. That's Creed Viking Cologne. JC, would you recommend the original or the cologne? You know, it depends. If you tend to like slightly more mature leaning fragrances that are reminiscent of ones that came out, let's say early 2000s or in the 90s or the 80s, then I would say you'll like the original Viking. But if those kind of scents don't move you, then try the cologne first, but sample first either way. Magical 6 months, yes. Very polarizing. Okay, yeah, Cologne's okay. I have to revisit that. I know some people really love it. I don't really love it, but it's been a while since I smelled it. Smells like a Calvin Klein fragrance in a fancy bottle. Will, I don't know if I would agree with that. To me, this smells of way better quality than most Calvin Klein fragrances that I've bought or have smelled. I will say that maybe the scent profile is a little bit riding the line of mainstream, perhaps, but still smells kind of niche to me. It doesn't smell like your everyday run-of-the-mill, designer fragrance or anything like that. At least not to me. Okay. Well, that was a good little hour. We got through everything. And I hope you guys enjoyed the ride. Hope you enjoyed these little stories. There's more I could have included, as you know, like Viking Cologne. That was one of Cam's. Who was it? Maybe it was a Cam or someone said Carlisle. Maybe it was Cam who said Viking Cologne. And there's more. There's more I could have included, but we could have been here for 2 hours just doing that. So I want to thank you guys for joining me in this little Saturday live session, as we like to do. I'm going to hop off here. I'm going to get to video editing. I'm editing tomorrow's video, which will be a fun one. And once again, links to all the fragrances I talked about, maybe besides Viking Cologne, will be in the description. I'll put Viking Cologne in there when I finish here. But Yeah, if you have an interest in trying any of them, by all means, there's links there to check out. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you all stay well, keep smelling your best, and enjoy what you wear. And have a great day or night wherever you are. See ya.